In the Brazilian Grand Prix at the 4.309-kilometer Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace in Brazil, Ferrari managed to limit McLaren's lead to just a 2-point increase. Heading into the final 3 races, Ferrari trails Andrea Stella's team by 36 points, but will look to take advantage of a few favorable circuits, starting with the Las Vegas Strip circuit in Nevada. If Ferrari is to close in on McLaren and claim a Constructors' title this season, it's first since 2008, when Kimi Räikkönen and Felipe Massa won the Formula One World Constructors' Championship for the Italian side. The Maranello team must do so with the existing SF-24 aerodynamic package for Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, as no further factory upgrades will boost performance for this year's single-seater. When asked about the possibility of new components for the upcoming races, Ferrari team principal Frederic Vasseur jokingly remarked that there were plenty of new parts coming this weekend, but then clarified that the Maranello team's focus had shifted entirely to the 2025 Formula One project and that no further updates would be made to the current car. Reflecting on recent performance, Frederic Vasseur observed that the last 3 races had gone well, with Ferrari earning the most points among teams, an encouraging position heading into the final 3 races of the 2024 Formula One Championship. The French manager expressed confidence in Ferrari's chances at Las Vegas, where they expect a performance advantage, and anticipated a close contest among the top 4 teams through to Abu Dhabi. After the Brazilian Grand Prix in São Paulo, Charles Leclerc also shared insights on the final 3 races, particularly the upcoming Las Vegas Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc suggested that, although Las Vegas should theoretically favor the characteristics of the SF-24 car, Ferrari's tire performance could remain a challenge. The Monegasque driver noted that while the team had been strong there last year, their improvements in tire management this season might present difficulties on cooler tracks, as demonstrated in the recent race, a condition expected in Las Vegas as well. Charles Leclerc emphasized the importance of using the next 2 weeks to prepare for the final triple header of the season, recognizing that the 6.2-kilometer Las Vegas Strip circuit in Nevada should play to Ferrari's strengths but would still require careful tire management, as was the case last year, when the Ferrari car was nonetheless at this venue. He added that Abu Dhabi, the final round of the season, might also be favorable for the Italian side, while he anticipated that Qatar to be more challenging, likely demanding a more conservative approach from the Ferrari engineers and technicians in terms of car setup, which means a positive result in Las Vegas is absolutely crucial for Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Ferrari was aware, even before the Brazilian Grand Prix, that the Interlagos circuit would not be favorable for them, given the track's characteristics which were not suited to the SF-24. It was therefore clear that continuing the positive trend seen in the previous American races in Mexico and the United States would be challenging. The Brazilian race, as a result, became a battle of defense, aiming to limit the damage against rivals McLaren and Red Bull, as the outcome of the 3 days in São Paulo later confirmed. The South American race did not deliver great results for the Scuderia, with Max Verstappen dominating the event after starting from 16th on the grid, pulling out a significant gap over everyone, including Ferrari. The result was largely expected, as Ferrari had not shown impressive speed since the first free practice session on Friday, regardless of the track conditions. Charles Leclerc did his best to limit the damage, especially in wet conditions where the SF-24 struggled, finishing in 5th place at the end of Sunday's race. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz was forced to retire after making a mistake during the heaviest rain on track. As a result, the Scuderia couldn't leave Brazil with a smile, particularly after qualifying as the second fastest team, thanks mainly to Charles Leclerc's talent, only to finish the race as the 4th fastest car. While their performance was not flawless, the main issue was with the SF-24 Pace, which lost competitiveness, becoming unstable at the rear and struggling with tire management, failing to find the right window to generate grip. In this scenario, as mentioned, the Italian side was the 4th, if not even the 5th, fastest team, trailing Red Bull, Alpine, and Mercedes, but they managed to hold a slim lead over McLaren, albeit thanks to a few lucky breaks. This helped them save their position in the Constructors' Championship, where they lost only 2 points to the Woking team with 3 races remaining in the season, bringing the gap to just 36 points. The SF-24 was never in contention for victory at Interlagos, and this is an undeniable fact. However, the result from the São Paulo circuit does not erase the great work done by the Maranello team to technically revive the 676 project. It is clear that curing every issue with purely aerodynamic interventions during the season was technically impossible. Charles Leclerc's P5 minimized the damage, but Ferrari's overly early pit stop in the first stint in an attempt to undercut their rivals did not pay off. Racing in dirty air also limited the car's performance, with the Monegasque driver never able to complete an attack on the Racing Bulls or Alpine cars, which led to an early pit call. Getting the tires up to temperature on a cold track surface is a shortcoming that requires interventions on the chassis and suspension, with a compromise to optimize for 2025. Weather conditions and track layout were ideal, and in addition to this, the race management was still limited by lift and coast. Internal sources report that the energy-saving strategy is not due to issues with the power unit, and there are currently no concerns about potential replacements ahead of Las Vegas. The Brazil weekend turned out to be a miracle for Alpine, who took advantage of the situation. On the other hand, McLaren lacked decisiveness and thankfully squandered opportunities once again. Based on what was seen throughout the weekend, McLaren seemed to have a clear path to a relatively controlled race. On Sunday, once again, it was Lando Norris who threw away a great pole position after just a few meters. The strategy of stopping just before a red flag then made the damage irreversible. In Brazil, McLaren even lost points to Ferrari, aside from Saturday's sprint race. Andrea Stella's team has a lot to regret for missing, and this is not the first time. A golden opportunity to extend their lead in the Constructors' Championship. The team effort during the sprint was of little help to Lando Norris on Sunday, where, in difficult conditions, the Papaya team lacked decisiveness. It's a familiar story seen in other races this year, such as Montreal and Silverstone, where the MCL 38, in an irregular weekend, fails to maximize what the car technically offers. As late November approaches, the Maranello team still has a reason to dream and seriously consider scenarios that seemed unimaginable just a few weeks ago, also relying on two tracks that should suit their car, Las Vegas and Abu Dhabi, where they could aim to challenge McLaren and possibly get closer to a remarkable achievement. However, at Las Vegas, Losail, and the Yas Marina circuit, Ferrari will need to charge and battle against the McLaren and Red Bull rivals ahead without any help from home, as no new major aerodynamic updates will be brought to the SF-24. The team has already decided to halt the development of the 2024 car in Maranello. This was a logical and necessary decision to fully commit all energy, personnel, and resources to the 2025 car, which is expected to be very different from the current one and will carry greater responsibility, given both the legacy of the previous car and the caliber of the driver who will be behind the wheel.